What is going on, obscure mic people? I've got a fun one today. I've got the Aston Spirit, a $400 microphone in the studio today. Aston Spirit, show it to you. You guys know what it looks like. There's a ton of videos on this thing out there. Big, tall, beautiful microphone from Aston. A lot of folks seem to like this one a lot. And you know what we're going to do with this microphone today? I'm not going to put it through all the rigors of let's check the polar patterns. You can do omni, you can do cardioid, you can do what? Figure 8. We're just going to roll with cardioid. We're going to see if this $400 mic is actually worth $400 over a $200 mic, so half its price. The One Two Skylight, which I reviewed recently. Nice mic. Kind of looks like the Spirit a little bit. It's got that Brillo-y pad top there. The weight is about the same. Actually, a lot of similarities there. The 512 is a little taller, but the build quality, while I wouldn't say is completely on par with this, because this has got a really pretty metal finish, it's real close. So 400, 200, and let's half it again. Let's cut it in half again and go with the Behringer TM1 $100 mic. So 100, double that to 2, double that to 4. Is it worth paying $400 for the Aston Spirit? It sounds pretty good to my ears so far, so maybe it is. I don't know. Let's find out. Before I do any kind of tests or anything like that, I am literally just going to switch this mic to the $200 mic and then to the $100 mic, and then I'm going to switch back up so you can hear each mic. Not processed, by the way, flat mode, and then we'll do it again processed, and then we'll do some plosives off-axis rejection for good measure. But I just want you to hear the sound of the microphones themselves and really see what we're getting for $100, $200, and $400. So you've been listening to the Aston Spirit the whole time I've been recording so far. Let's go ahead and switch over and take a step down to half price for the $199 512 $200 Skylight. Let's do that now. All right, now we are on the 512 Skylight, and this is what it sounds like. So right off the rip, a little less clear to my ears, maybe a tiny bit more muddy, not quite as sizzly on top. I think the Aston Spirit is a little bit brighter. I'm going to continue to talk on this for a minute, and then you'll get the comparison all over again when I move back up to the Aston Spirit. Let's go ahead and switch over to the Behringer TM1, and I will also throw this back on with the Spirit so you get that quick comparison. But 512, this sounds pretty good. I kind of thought the Spirit sounded better. Let's move on down to the Behringer TM1 now. All right, now we are on the Behringer TM1, and I'm still to this day impressed by how this sounds. So do with that what you will. I'm going to go ahead, for the sake of knowing, I'm not going to throw them all back in the shock mount. I'll hold it. I'm going to go from the Behringer TM1 to the Aston Spirit, and I'm going to do the same thing with the 512. Instead of the backup, I'll just do quick comps of both. Indecisive. Very indecisive mic reviewer guy here. So now we're back on the Aston Spirit. This is the Aston Spirit. This again is the TM1. This again is the TM1. Behringer TM1, Aston Spirit. Aston Spirit. I will say the Aston Spirit to my ears definitely sounds better than the TM1. The question is, how much better? Let's go ahead and throw the Aston Spirit back in the mount. Do the same thing with the 512. Aston Spirit is back in the mount. Let's go ahead and switch back over to the very solid 512 Skylight. We are on the 512 Skylight again. Not quite as clear, maybe a little bit flatter, maybe a little more V-shaped and a tiny bit more hollow. I will hand it to the Aston Spirit. It is a very good sounding microphone. Very good sounding microphone indeed. So let's go back $200. Let's upgrade to $400 one more time and then do some processing. So far, I got to admit, I like the $400 mic quite a bit more than 200 and 100. Quite a bit more. It's considerable. This is a very clear mic that's not harsh up top. There's sizzle, but it's not super harsh. This is a little less harsh, but a lot less clear. And the Aston Spirit just sounds better to my ears. But let's throw processing on and find out if that stays that way. All right, I've got the Aston Spirit with an Aphex big bottom on the Rodecaster Pro, compression, de-esser, high pass filter for good measure. This is what it sounds like. I think it sounds really, really, really good. Is it $400 good? To my ears, it sounds like that's a yes. I am very impressed with this so far. Let's switch over to the 512. All right, we're on the 512, and I still think this is a really good sounding microphone, and I think with processing on, the gap is narrowed a bit, but this is still more clear. Definitely more clear, but this is a little bit smoother at the top. I'm not feeling that it's completely more smooth. It's just smoother on the top end. To me, this has the smoother mids and lows. This is a really silky mic with just a little more sizzle than I'd like, but it still sounds really good. This is very smooth on the bottom and top. The mids are a little funky, and it just sounds a little muddy because of that, I guess. It's not quite as quality sounding as this, but it's pretty good for half the price. And to me, they're pretty close. Let's try the TM1 versus the Spirit next. I'm going to switch back to the Spirit before we do that, so you have a comp between this and that, and that, and that, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Time for the Behringer TM1 to come back into the picture. Again, Aston Spirit, fully processed on the Rodecaster Pro. Now let's process the crap out of the TM1, the $100 mic. All right, now we're on the Behringer TM1, completely processed. Again, it just sounds a little cheaper in the top, a little cheaper and a little more sizzly than even the Aston Spirit. The bottom and mid sound clearer than the 512, but overall harsher profile from top to bottom, in my opinion. So I'm going to say, without doing much testing, which I'll do some off-axis rejection and stuff here in a second, I think you get what you pay for, honestly. I think this is really good for a $100 mic. And I think this is really good for a $200 mic. And I think this is exceptionally fine. Exceptionally fine. This is pretty darn good for $400. I would almost say it's worth the price. It's just a matter of, do you want to spend that much more for that increment over these two as far as quality goes? And I would say it depends. It depends on what you're doing. Like, how important is the work you're doing in audio? If it's just podcasting and gaming, I would say no. I would say you're perfectly fine with a $100 banger. And if you are cool with spending two, I would rather have the 512. Not by a ton, but I would rather have it. The Aston Spirit, if you're doing voiceover work, I think I would just roll with the Spirit. It's a little more important, in my opinion, to have that quality level in voiceover. So I'd go with the Spirit there, but I digress. Let's throw some quick off-axis rejection and plosives and handling noise. Condenser handling noise? I shouldn't do that. All right, Peter Piper picked a pack, pick a pineapple pizza. 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 90 degrees, back around to the front of the microphone. And when you're right on top of the Behringer TM1, does that sound better with processing? On to the 512. 512 Skylight. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickle pineapple pizza. 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 90 degrees, back around to the front of the microphone. This does sound pretty good and smooth. When you're right on top of it, this is what it sounds like, the 512 Skylight. Let's move on to the Aston Spirit for a few tests before we end the video. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickle pineapple pizza. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickle pineapple pizza. I believe that this grill design and the Brillo-y stuff helps with plosives over the other two a little bit, which this has the Brillo-y stuff too, but I'm thinking this grill shape helps. Let's go ahead and turn it 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 90 degrees, and back around to the front of the microphone. And when you are right on top of the Aston Spirit, this is what it sounds like. Pretty good is what it sounds like. I definitely like this more than these two, but when it comes to price, like I said, I don't think you can go wrong, but this is the best mic. So is it worth paying $400? That's up to you. Is it better quality? In my opinion, yes. Is this better quality than the $100 mic? Again, yes. Is this perfectly fine? Again, yes. 3 good mics, 3 different price ranges. I would almost say good enough, better, and best. How else do you put it? A few people are going to say they preferred one of these other 2 microphones. That's what I'm looking for. I want to know who you are and why you prefer the other 2 microphones. Aston Spirit sounds pretty dang good if I do say so myself. I dig it, but I didn't want to do a full review on it. There's plenty of those, so I figured versus 3-way. That's what she said. Secure mics. Peace out.